Hello and welcome back to another Tech Articles. Following the video that was released earlier this week, I had a couple of questions around Softaculous, and it'll probably be the last time I say that, and how it integrates with WordPress, because I mentioned the WordPress Manager, and I showed it. So I thought I'd do a quick overview. It answers those questions. It gives you some idea of how to use the WordPress Manager. And it doesn't come with all hosting providers, but it is usually installed in cPanel or DirectAdmin installations. It installs all sorts of open source software, not just WordPress. But in this example, I will focus purely on the WordPress Manager. And in case there is any differences, in this case, I will be using a DirectAdmin based account, and I'll be going through the WordPress Manager. I'll probably do an install. I'll go through the different options that are available to you within WordPress management, and yeah, we will go from there. Okay, so I've already opened Softaculous, and this is WordPress Manager. Now, to do this, I'm going to close this down now, and to do this, all I have to do is click here on the Softaculous app installer, and I put WordPress in this case, but I could have pushed anything, and then I get to the home screen, what we can call the home screen. And up here there is an admin bar that's got all sorts of options available to it, like going back to DirectAdmin. And where we're going to focus most of our time today is here in the WordPress Manager. The WordPress Manager allows you to install and do items here. So I'm going to go through these top options first for you, and then we'll do an install, and we'll see some of the other things that can be done from here, because it is useful to use. It does have uses, particularly for small sites and sites which are already hosted on your DirectAdmin panel. It doesn't hurt to use them. So install we'll cover more in depth later, but obviously installs a new WordPress instance. Scan. What this will do is, if you've installed WordPress, i.e. manually, without using this software, it will allow you to import that WordPress instance in so that you can manage it from within here. Remote install imports from an existing server somewhere else and imports it down to this instance. Manage sets does exactly what it says. It manages sets. I actually don't find this particularly useful. You can't currently add anything that is repository hosted, which means actually it's pretty much useless. I can set it to install automatically the plugins that are in the repository, but I can't do it for any of my premium plugins. I can't do it for any of my own personal repo plugins, and I don't use it. What I tend to do in those situations is create the instance, then I fire up Putty, and I have a CLI script that I run, a WordPress CLI script that I run, that basically gives me 3 or 4 options and installs based on those options my sets of plugins from my own repo, because I really don't find this particularly useful. You can see I have one here for some testing, and we'll list what's in the set, and it's literally all in one migration, but it will only install themes and plugins that are already in the repo. So in my opinion, not very useful. It's easy to create a set. You create one, you give it a name, and then you add the plugins that you want. So if I want to add this plugin, I could search for a plugin on the repo. Let's do it. Let's do Fluent Forms. And it doesn't even, oh, there you go. And that's it. That will now be added to this set. So if you use a lot of repo-based plugins, it may well work for you, but I still install 1 or 2 from the repo, and I actually find it's quicker to install those on the command line via that script with the rest of my premium plugins than it is to deal with the sets. But they are here, they can be used. You don't have to install them at the install phase either. You can install them later to your installation. So you might have created a blank install, and then you've changed your mind and you decided, I don't know, what's a brick instance, although you can't do bricks because it's a premium plugin, but you want to install all of the repo-based plugins that you would do on that, you could just install it afterwards. And obviously your actions are remove plugins and themes. So yeah, it's currently in its current form, in my opinion, not actually all that useful. The ability to add URLs in here for installation would make it so much more useful. So then we go to return to WordPress management, and we move over to security measures. Now, for security measures to work, you have to select an instance, and if I push security measures, and it will offer you to do all sorts of different protection methods to your WordPress instance. Some of them definitely need to be done. Some of them I don't do, so I wouldn't apply them. But yeah, you would need to set them based on your requirements. But it's pretty quick. You've got options of choosing them manually, only what they deem to be critical, which are these ones, and all, which is everything. As I say, I prefer to do this manually. In my GitHub repo, I have a script that does a lot of things for me. I also do some of this via a functional plugin that I install on sites, and I customize it based on the site, depending on what I want to remove, what I want to hide. So I choose to do it that way, but you could do it this way. And this is what an installation looks like when it's installed. And I'm going to delete this option, and we'll do this again in a thing. And by delete, it's uninstall in this case. And I'm only doing this so that when I do an install, you can see that for its entire life cycle. So I want to remove the directory, the database, and the username for the database. So if I push remove, it literally takes a few seconds and it's gone. That's that disappeared now. It's no longer there. I have no WordPress installation, so I'm now going to make one. So if we go to install, you get your new normal options when you would install WordPress via this software, and you get to choose what protocol it uses, whether it's got www or not, whether it's in a subdirectory, whether it's in you can even choose subdomains if you have them here installed already via your DirectAdmin or your cPanel instance. You can choose the version of WordPress you want to install. You have the option of a quick install or a custom install. I prefer custom myself. It allows me to select some customizations that you don't get in the quick install, like site names, disabling WordPress cron. In most of my sites, I disable WordPress cron, and I use an actual cron job to deliver that, because in low volume sites, stuff will just never be processed. So I choose to use cron, natural cron, real cron, rather than WordPress cron, to allow that to happen. You can select certain plugins that you might want to install here. You choose your language. There are further advanced options, and down here in terms of database naming and backups. And that's a good thing about this WordPress Manager, is it can handle some backups for you outside of your host's normal backups. And in the video earlier, you saw how I took one of these backups and put it into local, and you can do that's one of the things you can do with it. You could do that with the native DirectAdmin, in this case backup manager, but it's useful for those items. It also has auto upgrade features available to it, and you can select a theme to install. So I'm actually not going to change any of the settings here. I'm just going to give it a new name rather than WP, so that the bots don't find it immediately. We'll call it video, I suppose. So let's just call this video then. I'm not going to change the site. Actually, let's change the site name to video to this is a video, just in case we log into the WordPress. And for the backup, I'm going to leave. I'm going to change this password. What it is doesn't matter. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to put that in a notepad just so that I have it, just in case you want to log in later. You can email a copy of the installation details to yourself here, and I'm just going to push install. Hopefully I've added enough to get an installation. because actually the installation is irrelevant here. You can automatically just click this link and it will take you into the admin area of that install, but that is WordPress installed, and that took seconds. So I'm going to return to the WordPress Manager, and I'm already starting in my new video site, and obviously I have the option to log in as an admin user without having to put in details. It tells me it's an up-to-date installation. It allows me to manage plugins, so I can install, add plugins. I can even upload plugins here to my WordPress instance. You can add them from the repo, and it tells you what's already installed. For example, these two really annoying plugins. So let's delete them. And just like that, they're gone. You can manage themes, so it comes with our usual ones. This is the one that's activated, status, the tab here means it's activated, so let's delete those two, and let's add one from the repo. Let's go with generate press this time, I think, if I can get that to work. And there's generate press. I'm going to install it, and that's installed. So if I go over to installed, I now have generate press, and it's automatically activated it for me. So that's it. Generate press is now installed on that site. So let's go and log in. Let's check our plugins. Our plugins have been deleted, and we'll go to our themes. And here is generate press activated, and we did that all from our hosting dashboard, all from DirectAdmin. So that was all done without having to log in. We can disable and enable auto upgrades. We can change the search engine visibility. We can, as I said earlier, disable WordPress cron and allow automatic updates to themes. And actually really quite useful if you spend a lot of time in your panel. I don't. Other than installing, you can put debug mode on from within here, and that will modify your config file for you. So yeah, that's the basic options for a site. Now, if I'd installed a load of plugins in this and I wanted to be able to install this like a blueprint, I could create a template of this site. So by creating a template, which I've just clicked on, I could call this a blueprint, and it's now a blueprint. I could restrict future plugins and themes from being installed to it, so it was a fixed blueprint. And if I push create template, you'll see it will quickly zip that up, take a copy of the SQL for the database, and when I want to restore that, I will just go up here to templates, which I think is this one, and then I can install a new instance based on that template, and it would have the same details. So you've got options here to download template, restore template, or delete template. So if I push restore, and if I select here WP2 and disable search visibility, and we call this, I don't know, video 4, and if I push restore template, you'll see that when I go back to the WordPress Manager, I'll have 2 instances installed, and the second one will be a clone of the first based on that template. So you'll see here I now have 2 WP2 video. So they are the same site. So let's visit this one. They are exactly the same site. They work exactly the same way, the same username, same password. It is a direct clone, and that took very little time at all. Obviously, the larger your zip file, the longer it will take, but it's a relatively quick way of duplicating a site for testing, and that's why I tend to use this more for videos where I'm doing a lot of sites rather than InstaWP, where I can start up a site, I can have it built using my plugin set, my configuration, and it's all there. If I'm duplicating lots of sites for pass off or whatever, this is what I tend to use. And if it's a longer term hold item for videos, I tend to use grid pane. So everything has its place, and the tools that you have here are useful. So you can also clone an instance without having to make a template. which does exactly the same thing. But the way the template works is the template is there. If I delete this instance, I can still restore from that template. Obviously, I can't clone from something that's been deleted. You have inbuilt staging operation, which will do exactly the same. It will make you a staging site that you can then pull back to here. You have backup options, and let's do a backup to do this. I can make a note about the backup. I'm going to leave the default location, but I can pick a different place if I want to. Backup installation. And just like zipping up for a template, just like unzipping for a template, it's relatively fast. Obviously, the faster your host, the faster it's going to be. So if I go back to my management, I can now restore from my previous backups. So here's the backup we just took. I have the option to download that backup, which I could then, like in my video earlier, I could restore that backup to local, for example, and it's here as an ready to go and come down. I can restore that backup, which will replace the instance I have with this backup. So for example, if you're installing a load of plugins and you want to go backwards, you could do a restore, or I can delete it, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to remove this backup, and like that, it's done. And these are the backups that I used in the previous video. So while we're here, let's just remove these, because these are now redundant because I've removed the installation. So let's go back to our WordPress Manager and go back down to our options here, and I'm left with remove, which removes it from this setup. It doesn't remove the installation or uninstall. And again, you can select different installs. So this is video. I was on here. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. So we're on video here. If I wanted to interact with this site, I could come down here and do this. And maybe this site, we want to disable the cron and we want to enable automatic updates. You can see it's saving that information. It's processing it for me, and it's there. So if I remove this installation, which is WP2, when I go back to go back. Return to WordPress Management. Remove installation. Yeah. So I've not deleted anything. I've just removed stuff from here. So if I go back to WordPress Management, it shouldn't be there, but I should be able to scan it back in place. And there it is. We can see it's there. So if I go back to return to WordPress Management, it has now imported it in here for me to manage. So that shows you how scan works. And that's really a quick overview of how Softaculous, whatever it is, however it's pronounced, works. And in this example, as I said earlier, this is a DirectAdmin example. I am not aware of too many differences between the DirectAdmin and the cPanel edition, but I just want to be clear that I'm using DirectAdmin here, not cPanel. But that is a quick overview of the tools within here that allow you to manage your WordPress. Thank you. If you've liked this video, please like, subscribe, get notified of future videos. And if there's something you would like us to look into and produce a video for, please leave it in the comments. Thank you.